Welcome to Keto Life Support, where we make your keto life sustainable, fun, and low stress. I'm Kim Howerton, and I'll be coming to you weekly with some of my keto besties to bring you the practical, real-world keto advice that you need. Quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and even if we do have a doctor in the house from time to time, he or she is not your doctor, and nothing we say on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always check in with a trusted medical professional about your own personal medical concerns.
Hello, welcome to Keto Life Support. This is Kim Howerton, and this is episode 94, in which we catch up with Kim. First, I have a request. Could you please go to iTunes if you're anywhere near iTunes? Or is it called Apple? Okay, I think it's now called Apple Podcasts. But that thing through Apple with podcasts, either on your phone or on your laptop or wherever, can you please give me a really excellent review? I would love it so much. It would mean so much to me. It would totally pay me back for making these podcasts, and I really would love it. Please, please, please. If that's a lot of trouble for you and you just can't figure it out, it's totally okay. It's totally fine. It's just, if you can, please. If you can't, no biggie. All right. So let's get into it here. In this podcast, I actually recorded it for YouTube, so there is a video of the same basic thing if you want to watch me talk instead of just listen to me talk. I promise I don't do anything that exciting, but there you go. But I just thought I would give people a chance to, I don't know, check in with me. Like, I know I talk about myself a lot, really a lot, but just what's going on? What's my focus for 2022? All that good stuff. So if you want a chance to sort of catch up with where I'm at on my journey, continue to listen. Let's go. So it is currently 2022 as I record this from my lovely blue velvet sofa. And I'm happy to be here with you right now in this moment. The sun is shining. I went to the gym this morning. I'm on a roll with that. I walked home. It's sunny and beautiful out, and I can't complain all that much. I mean, I can because I'm good at complaining, but I'm not gonna. So let's catch you up. What's going on? So if you're new or you need a refresher, over the last 5.5 years, time goes by so crazy now, about a half. I have lost 100 pounds. I started my journey just before I turned 40. I had kind of hit a crossroads. I started having what I would call like weight problems in elementary school, probably around 8. And so it had been, a good 30 years that I was struggling around weight, body fat, exercise, food, all that stuff. And for the majority of those 31 years, I spent time feeling pretty hopeless and worthless. And I knew I had worth in certain areas, but like whenever my attention turned to my body, it was bad news bears. And so I tried a bunch of diets. I'd had some short-term success, but eventually I'd kind of given up because nothing really stuck. And I was like, well, I just have to love myself as I am. I did make good inroads into that. But as I approached my 40s, I realized it wasn't all about loving myself and approving of myself, though that's super important. The reality was, I was in a body that was spiraling, very unhealthy, and I had several health problems, and I was going to die sooner than I wanted to, like not tomorrow, but sooner than I wanted to, and in a way that was probably more painful and likely embarrassing than I really wanted to in lots of ways. And so I finally seemed to get to that point. I don't know if it's like hitting bottom or what. I mean, it kind of felt like hitting bottom when you can't stop crying on multiple days and things feel really hopeless. It felt pretty close to the bottom. And that was stemming a lot from the feeling that the eating disorder that I had sort of managed through my life was accelerating, getting worse. My binge eating was pretty out of control. And I just felt like I was in this body, but it wasn't mine. And I didn't have a good handle on how to make it feel like mine again and work. And I couldn't control my brain. I felt like I was on a ride that I couldn't get off. And it was terrifying. So as I approached
my 40s, I had, tried various diets, tried various approaches, and I won't bore. This could be very long, very, very long video. It's going to be probably pretty long anyway, so I'm going to shortcut it to say I eventually came across keto. And I was like, well, let me try this. It holds some merit, and what I know about the science of it seems sound. Let's do it. And so I jumped in pretty ill prepared in that the people I was listening to talk about keto were people like Peter Attia and Dominic D'Agostino, both brilliant, but also athletic men. Not an athletic man here, no. So I had to eventually find my way to what worked for my body, got started, finally got into ketosis, figured that out, and then went from there. And it was like this magic carpet ride for a while. Everything just worked in a way that nothing was working. And I lost a considerable amount of weight for me, what seemed like a very rapid period. Though I see some people out there who are like, that's slow. Like, not about me, but if they've talked about themselves, and I'm like, I thought that was pretty quick because I've never done that before. But round about year 1.5 to 2, things just came to a complete standstill in terms of the weight loss. And I was super frustrated. What am I going to do? How do I fix this? All those things. And so I went on, again, shortcutting, I could go into detail. I went on a journey of exploration, and in my keto world, my low carb world, figured out what I needed to pay attention to, talked to people who are very smart in the keto world and elsewhere, did a reverse diet. Don't worry if you want to learn more about reverse diets. What does that mean more than what I'm going to say here? I'll do another video about that. But basically, a reverse diet is very slowly raising your caloric intake. Yes, I use the C word, so that you're eating more and more and actually countering something called metabolic adaptation. Video on that too, but I'm just kind of giving you my story here. So that I was able to then, after that, lose another 35 pounds to get me to my 100 pounds that I wanted to lose initially. And, I'm not saying my journey is over, life is long, but, that was my sort of initial goal. So that takes me up until fairly recently. There were lots of adjustments and twists and turns. I started out kind of low protein. I transitioned to more protein. I made a lot of shifts about how much protein I ate versus how much fat, and paying attention to calories, not paying attention to calories, so there's lots of details about what I did to make it work. But I wanted to kind of catch you up to speed that some of you may know this, but several years ago, I changed my approach from a higher fat, moderate protein. Well, it was low. It was a little low. I've seen lower, but it was a little low protein approach to what would be a moderate-ish fat, higher, it's not high, but it's sort of the ratios are switched, protein approach, which just works better for my body. Does it work better for everyone's body? No. Does it work better for a lot of people's body? Yes, but not necessarily at the beginning of their journey. So do what I say, not what I do, or something. I don't know. I'll explain it, at various times, but I should probably explain it now. So when I first went keto, I really needed the higher fat diet approach. Although I should have eaten more protein than I did, I was too low. Because it really helped with satiety. It really helped me feel satisfied with my food in a way that I didn't prior to keto. And then over time, as I got fat adapted, my body began to be able to access my own stored body fat a little better. I didn't need to add so much fat anymore, but I was in the habit of doing it and it wasn't working for me anymore. Like I said, there are some people, it's what they should do continuously, but it wasn't what I needed to do anymore. So at that point, I increased the protein even a little more, lowered the fat a bit, paid more attention to sort of what my body was doing in terms of calories. All those things are great. So take me up until much more recently, I've been really fine-tuning the journey and looking at what I need. And one of the things that happened to me over the past, like I said, time is a little weird, but maybe the last year-ish, is I started to experience increased hunger and not feeling as satisfied and satiated by my sort of standard way of eating. And I didn't quite know what to do about it, so I thought I would experiment. That's sort of my way. If something's not working, I'm gonna just try things, take good notes, pay attention to what's happening, and see if I can figure it out. And what I found is when I actually increased my vegetables again, I was more satisfied. And so now I eat, is it keto? Is it not keto? It's certainly low carb, but I eat more vegetables and even a little bit of fruit. And I eat a good deal of protein, and I still make sure I get plenty of fat to do what my body needs to do. Because, as an aside, I'm somebody that has suffered from depression for most of my life. And if my fat number, sort of my grams of fat, my average fat intake goes too low, I suffer a little bit in that department. Now, what that right number is for me has actually shifted significantly over the years, but I still have to pay attention to it. So now as I'm entering my mid-5th year of keto, my keto looks super different. And should I still call it keto? I don't know. My low carb lifestyle looks a little bit different than it did when I started, but the central premise is the same, which is I am on a journey towards better health, paying attention to food quality, to the way my body reacts to food, and how can I get the highest level of satiety, feel the best, have the most energy, be the sanest, and all those things put together. So my why, my what, my goals, those are all the same. But the details of exactly how I eat have shifted a little bit. But I still teach sort of all the way along the spectrum. What I teach about is metabolic health more than anything else, because I think that's the underlying principle that we all should be paying attention to. And what gets us in the best metabolic health is sort of central. And I am teaching again instead of talking about my life. So let's go back. Okay, so as we enter 2022, I've gotten to a place where I do have a little bit more body fat I would like to lose, absolutely. Is it an emergency like I used to think it was? No. I know I'm just on a journey and it will happen as it happens when I put the right attention on it. My main focus coming into 2022, and I started this at the end of 2021, but I was practicing, is really working on my fitness in terms of adding muscle mass, adding strength, being more capable in a physical way to live a healthy life long term. I'm somebody with a lot of challenges, really just across the board, but physical challenges too, like blew out my knee when I was a kid. I have scoliosis, yada, yada, yada. Living in a body that was 100 pounds more for a long time left me with certain movement patterns, really inflexible ankles, so on and so forth. So I'm working on all those things. Why have I not worked on them till now? That is a really good question. It would have been a great idea for me to start working on these things sooner, but it would also have been a great idea for me to do a lot of things sooner in my life. And I just seem to do things when I'm ready. And I am now ready. So for the past 2-ish months, I think it's been, 2.5 months, I've been a gym regular, which is totally new to me. I have maybe decades ago been consistent in the gym for short periods of time, but this feels very sustainable and good. And it's coming from a place that I really enjoy. So I want to tell you a little bit about this journey. So I've been going 3 times a week to the gym. It's been a really good experience. Initially, I was sort of hesitating, being like, I need to get a trainer. I need somebody to show me the ropes. I need to do this. And then it wasn't really coming together. And I was like, I'm just putting this off. Literally, I spent 2 months trying to get this pulled together and then scheduling. And I was like, this is just turning into a stall, me stalling. So I need to actually just do it. So I reached out to my good friend, Robert Sykes, Keto Savage, you might know him, and Rachel Gregory. Both of them have incredible backgrounds in lifting, strength, all that kind of stuff. And so I got some good advisors. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I just decided I would figure this out, just like I've done a lot of things in my life, apparently. And it's been going really good. I've been really learning a lot. I'm obviously making some mistakes, but I'm very careful about not hurting myself. And one of the things that has been sort of central to this experience working for me thus far is one of the things that always happened to me when I went to the gym in years past is I would, get with a trainer or have somebody show me the ropes, and they would invariably kind of push me pretty hard. Initially, I can actually remember a first training session once where I went to this gym where I never returned. I actually think I left something there and never got it. Where they put me through this routine, and mid-routine, I was like, I need a minute, went into the bathroom and literally this is disgusting, but I was so sick. I was gonna throw up. I was dizzy, clearly electrolyte depletion, but I literally couldn't get off the floor. I basically fell on the floor and couldn't get up for 10 minutes. But I wasn't oh, I'm really effed up. Trainer, what are you doing? I was like, this is my fault. I'm so out of shape. I can't even do what clearly I should be able to do. And it really put me in a place where I just developed. It's not like it was new at that point, but it just all these experiences put together, I developed kind of exercise anxiety. I would even used to try and go on hikes with my boyfriend who loves to hike, and I would start crying. I just wasn't that comfortable being that uncomfortable in my body when my central nervous system would get super activated, I'd be breathing hard or something would feel really hard. I would kind of get this deluge of negative thoughts and feelings that just put me into just panic mode. And it's taken me a lot of years to kind of work on that. I've certainly done some therapy around it, but the reality is you don't really get over that kind of experience until you face the fears, face your demons, and figure out how to make this work. So one of the things that's been really pivotal for me, and one of the reasons I actually like that I've sort of been doing this on my own speed, is I set a few parameters, I'm going to go 3 times a week. I'm not going to try to go 4 or 5. I'm going to go 3 times a week. That's going to be enough. And I said, I'm going to spend a good deal of time there. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to take breaks. I'm going to, stop between sets. I'm not going to superset. I'm not going to go for some HIIT, high intensity interval training, weightlifting approach where I get really breathing really hard and hyped up. I'm going to just focus on growing my muscles. And it's legitimate to work out the way that I'm working out in that there are multiple ways to work out. Some of them are that sort of cardio meets resistance training place, but there's also a avenue where it's very much focused on hypertrophy, right? The growth of muscle, where you are taking rest between sets and you're focusing on lifting as heavily as you can with as much finesse as you can, right? With good form and speed and that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, that approach, one, it meshes with my goals, which is to grow the big muscles. And then 2, I think that I can do that without freaking out. And so that's what I've been doing. And I've just made sure that every time I work out, I'm winning, right? I gotta say, it's a challenge for me. I sound so pitiful. Sorry, self-judgment right here. I have a fear that I sound pitiful. I'm gonna let that go. So the first few weeks, I would leave the gym feeling a little bit defeated. I'd be like, I could only, bicep curl 10 pounds. That's sad. And then I was like, I'm doing it again. I'm just being super mean to myself. And so I stopped as much as I can. I focus on, wow, I couldn't do this last time. Or I was tired and I did this anyway. Or, hey, for some reason that feels weird today. I'm not going to do that exercise because my knee is feeling tweaky. And I was like, oh, that's a win. That's a win. That's a win. Everything I did that was new, it was a win. It's been the best therapy. I'll give you an example. I think I talked about this on a live, but there's an assisted pull-up machine where there's a weight stack and you counter your weight, right? So you step on a platform and you decide how much that platform is getting countered with your weight. So if you weighed 200 pounds and you put the stack at 200, you'd be lifting no weight, but your body would be going up and down. You'll feel like a superhero if you do that at your whatever weight you're at. And so years past, I'd been on one of these machines before, and I was like, I think I can do it. And I know pull-ups are super great exercise, and I wanted to do them. So I was like, they have one at the gym, I'm going to go do it. And the first time I went to try the machine out, there were like people all around it, like not like staring at it, but like on the machines around it. And I was like, no. So I like waited until nobody was near it and I used it. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. That's okay. I feel good. I can do it. Okay. And I resisted the urge to, when I got off the machine, change the weight so that people didn't, see, wow, she can't lift very much at all. I was like, no, I'm just leaving it where it is. Because I can't do a pull-up without an assist. I don't think that's actually that unusual for women who are not in super great shape, but I can't and I would like to. And so I have to work my way there. So this is a great machine. It's a great opportunity. But my story is that I had all of those thoughts going in and I did it anyway. And I felt good when I got off it. And I felt like I got a good workout out of it. And I realized nobody was going to laugh at me. And I am being dumb if I think they are, because everyone is there to support me. I mean, that's not why they went there, but everyone wants me to do well. And if they don't, that's because they're an a-hole. So, yeah. So I've been trying to focus on wins. And so for 2022, I am really going to be focused on gaining strength and efficacy, feeling good in the gym. And then also some smaller periods of time, I'm going to focus on losing a little bit of body fat. But my primary focus is going to be feeling good in the gym, getting stronger, and working on just general fitness. I'm still keeping up my walking. I make sure I get an average of about 7,500 steps a day. So some days it's 12 or 13, and then factor in, like I always aim for 10,000, but there are some days where life makes it a little lower. And so some days I get more, some days I get less, but I always make sure I get, my steps in, thinking about like any more advanced cardio or things like that. I'm leaving that open, but I'm not making it a current goal because it's not necessarily the thing I'm focused on at this time. Though I do think it's useful for cardiovascular fitness, and I want to make sure I stay as healthy as possible, but, one step at a time. And so that's my focus right now. I'm eating, I still track all my food. I've always tracked my food. Well, pretty much. I've always tracked my food. Whenever I felt successful with food, I've been tracking my food. So I make sure that I track my food. I make sure I'm not always eating too little, also not too much, just the right amount of food for my current goals. Like when I'm focused on gaining as much muscle as possible, I make sure I'm not at a deficit. When I'm trying to lose a little more body fat, I make sure I am. I go through those kinds of things. I'm feeling good about my fitness journey for me, right? Because that's always the thing. You can't compare your journey to someone else's journey. We all have different genetic hands we've been dealt, life hands, what's going on in our world, what are our stresses, what are our specific gifts, and so that varies, but we can compare ourselves to ourselves. And, I want to win that game. And so that's just a catch up with me. Hopefully that made sense, what's going on in my life. Your personal life, things are going well. Nothing new to report. Still living with my boyfriend, still very happy. Still, both my parents are doing well. My mom had a really rough health year last year, but fingers crossed everything's better this year. My brother and his wife and their 3 kiddos moved back from overseas. They were in Italy. So that's been nice to reconnect. So everything on the personal front is going well, fairly well, life always. And I'm still coaching, teaching, talking to people, making recipes, working on my perspective on things, and enjoying as much as I can as a meditating, exercising, macro counting, slightly neurotic person that I am. And so I hope that was a good catch up for you. I hope that you learned a little bit about me and what is going on. And if you have questions about why I've made different choices, like how I started eating, how I eat now, how I exercise, how do I make my choices about who I pay attention to, who knows what they're talking about, all those kinds of things. Happy to talk about all of that. Just drop me a line. Let me know what you need to know. And hopefully that'll give me some ideas for some things you want me to make videos on or podcasts on, because I do both. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different, usually different, sometimes same. Anyway, I'm now droning on for no particular reason, so I think I will close here. And I hope you are awesome and doing awesome things in the world, and know that I am here if you need me. All right, talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Keto Life Support. Want more information? Want show notes? Want to suggest a topic? Just head over to ketolifesupport.com. That's where all that kind of thing can go on. By the way, I have a request. If you could go to your podcast host and hit subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it. And what would be even more awesome is if you could write a review. And what would be even more awesome than that is if you could write like a really flattering review. Just asking, you do you. All right. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm thrilled that you're part of the Keto fam. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.